Todd, I am so excited to have you on the show today. Thank you so much for being with me.
Thank you. Thanks.
This is so fun. I cannot wait to get into more of your story because we have something in common, and that is that we've both lived in Mississippi. So we have lots to talk about, and I'm excited about that. But it's also going to be the holiday season, Christmas season when people listen to this. And so we're starting each of our 12 books of Christmas episodes by just asking our friends a little bit about their favorite Christmas traditions and all the things. So let's start there. I want to hear a little bit about what did Christmas look like in your family when you were growing up?
Oh man, I guess I'm probably in the majority. Well, I hate to say that. I'm pretty sure I'm right though, in that I just love Christmas.
Yes.
And when we were kids, for me, I mean, it changed through the years, but the times that I like to remember most are those times when I was just a little kid. We lived in a little white A-frame house in Grenada, Mississippi on Mound Street. And my brother and me, well, it was just a 2-bedroom house. But then when my sister came along, my parents sort of opened up the attic and made that my brother and my bedroom. And we would always, one thing I'll never forget about Christmas is he would always, when you're kids, before the sun came up, he would always have me go check to see if Santa came,
Oh, yeah.
And so I remember doing that and then spending time, with my grandmother and our family and, all those things that people do at Christmas. Mm-hmm. We really did have, I would say, a really traditional, Christmas growing up. Mm-hmm. All of those things. I guess, again, I'm probably in the majority on this. I think the nostalgia of Christmas is my favorite part. It's that intangible.
Yeah. I agree. It's such a fun time of year. So do you have something in the holiday, like in the Christmas season, that you did every year with your family, like a tradition that you guys super love, or even with your family now, something that you find yourself looking forward to?
Yeah, lots of things. Through the years, I always, even when I was a little kid, now that I'm an adult with my own wife and kids, we don't do it so much, this thing. But as a kid growing up, I mean, plumb into my teen years, really, and right into adulthood, I would make candy with my mom, just because I started doing it when I was little. And so I would make Christmas candy with her through the years. I mean, we always did the traditional family meal like that, all those things. But over the years, I would say sometime, maybe in my just preteen years, maybe I don't really know the exact time. We started every year a tradition called Jesus Candle which is and it's not everyone's kind of grown, got kids of their own. It can be a little bit of a circus but every year we just kind of sit around the living room. Everybody lights a candle and we talk about all the things that we've been blessed with throughout that year and all the things that we really are believing for God to do in our lives in the upcoming year. And that's something that we've always done. And then we do the things that I would imagine most families do, which is we get together during the Christmas season, not necessarily on Christmas Day. I get together with my wife and my kids and we watch all the things. We watch Rudolph and Charlie Brown and all those things, and it's because, I don't know, those things remind me of being a kid at Christmas. And so,
yeah. I love that. Is there something that for you like has to be on your table on Christmas Day, like your Christmas meal? Like, is there something that you're like, okay, it's the mashed potatoes, it's the sweet potato casserole? Like, what is it for you?
For me, I would say it's a couple of things. My mom's dressing is so
yeah.
It's like one of my most favorite. And I don't know, I'm pretty sure that if you live in different parts of the country, you call it stuffing, but I think it's the same thing. I don't know for sure, but
I think so too. Somebody will tell us. Yeah.
Yeah. Someone will let us know. But my mom's dressing, but then also my mom's sweet potato casserole. Cause my mom, and no offense out there, you do you with sweet potato casserole, but my mom does not do the kind that's got melted marshmallows on the top. She does the kind that's almost got like candied pecans. It's like a hard shell.
Yeah.
It's so good. And that's like, man, I have to have that. And then, she makes pumpkin roll, which I love. My in-law always makes date balls. They're just, I don't know, they're just covered in powdered sugar. So all of those things are must-haves for me, And
that's so good. Yeah, I love all those things too. My mom, when this is so her, if you know her, she just decided a few years ago, like, why do I have to choose between marshmallows or the candied pecan stuff? So she does both. she puts both on top of hers,
well,
not separately. Like she doesn't make two casseroles. She just does like some marshmallow and some candy stuff.
Oh, no, I could go for that because I love. It's funny. Marshmallows are one of those things. We have a fire pit out here at the house, and we burn a fire all the time. And I tell my kids all the time, I love a perfectly roasted marshmallow, but I do not like a marshmallow that is not roasted. I don't know. I don't like plain ones. They got to be roasted and gooey, and
they're so good. They're so good. Okay, well, Christmas is so fun to talk about, but I am so excited about your new book that you wrote with your wife Brooke, and it is going to be a part of our 12 books of Christmas. I'm so excited about that. It's called Every Little Win, and I have so many questions, Todd. This is going to be such a fun conversation because I was reading the back cover, and there's a question that like it made me smile because I moved to Mississippi 2 years ago and everything about my life changed. And so to hear your story of like having been in ministry in a small town to then walking into The Voice and it changing your life in a totally different way, I was like, I just know I could relate to a lot of what he probably has to say. And so there was a statement that says, what does a 42-year-old small town pastor do when he wins one of the most popular singing competitions in the world? Like, what a fun question. And so I would love to hear more of your story behind going on The Voice. I am friends with Emily Ann Roberts, who she's a Knoxville girl. I'm a Knoxville girl who was runner up a few seasons back. We've had several fun conversations, but I would love to hear like, when did you decide to like do it? Like, what was the experience like for you? I want to hear all about it.
Oh man. Okay. My story of going on The Voice is actually, it's odd because it's like really, really simple, but it's also kind of complicated. The complicated part is that I would say it was years ago, 2017 or so. And I've said this 100 times, but I would love to be able to pinpoint the time, but it's been 3 or 4 years ago. I always say right around 2017. And the reason that I say that is because there were some other major things that happened in my life that I remember happening sort of at the same time. And back then is when I knew that I was going to be changing the direction of my life, and what I did with my life. So now I said all that to say I had no idea, that this would be what happened, really what I was going to do. I looked into a whole bunch of things, but what I was going to do was start the process of becoming a real estate agent and sell real estate, and it had nothing to do with me deconstructing or walking away from my faith or any of those things. I'm still, a lot of people have, and I get it. I get where they're coming from. I've had a lot of people that say like, I can't believe you left the church. Well, I didn't leave the church. I'm still part of the church. And so all that was going on. I was kind of digging around I looked into barber school and all kinds of things. And so, I would say in around March or April of 2019, a friend of mine, what I was doing, I'm telling you, I don't know, I might've had a midlife crisis. If I did, I'm still completely.
And if this is what happened, great.
Yeah, I'm living still in this midlife crisis, if that's what it did happen. But so I started trying and I didn't do great. Like, I know people probably won't see the video, but you can see I got like a keyboard right back here.
Yeah.
I can bang out chords. Like if I have an idea for a melody or a song, and what I do is I just plug that into my computer and put my headphones on. So at the time though, I was banging out chords. I was trying to teach myself how to play piano. I still haven't done that. And I was just singing on Instagram, singing songs. And so like 1 minute, Instagram only would let you do 1 minute unless you go do IGTV or whatever. So a friend sent me a DM on Instagram and said, hey, you should try this. And it was a little link to The Voice. And so I was like, all right. So I clicked on it. I signed up. And actually, when I say friend, and if she hears this, she knows I'm telling the truth. We aren't like close. We're more acquaintances than friends. We just know one another. So I signed up. Well, it was for open call, like stand in line auditions, which The Voice finds people in a whole lot of different ways. And I did not know that. So anyway, I signed up. Months passed. My audition was on July the 27th. And that was, like I said, March or April. So months passed. I drove my wife out to Colorado for a conference. We drove back in on Thursday. And the audition was that Saturday. 4.5 hours the other direction. So I decided not to do it. Like I had full on decided like it's, and honestly, and you can relate to this. as a pastor's wife, and this is my fault. Let me say that. And hopefully everyone who hears me will hear me say, this is my fault. It's not the church's fault. It's my fault. Sure. But I was already in a place in my life where I kind of felt like useless and crappy enough, you know? And so I'm like, I don't want to drive 4.5 hours for an audition where someone's just going to make me feel even worse about myself by telling me, no, go back home. You know? And so that at that time is when my wife went into like high gear, like, no, you need to do this. You keep saying you need a change in your life. And, you know, and she's one of those, she's like, you're the one that keeps saying you something's got to change and something's got to give. So I made a plan to spend the night in the car because we'd just spent a decent amount of money going out to Colorado, and I didn't have the money really to spend on a hotel or anything. Well, I don't know how this happened because it's all happened in the span of like 3 hours or something. Sure. I can't remember how all of it happened, but someone from our church got wind that I was going to spend the night in the car. And so they got me they told me to get a room. So what I did was I was always real frugal with the church's money because it was like the church paying for the room. And so I got a real, it's kind of scary, the hotel room I got. And so I got up the next morning frustrated, honestly, and that's really the truth. And that's, to me, that's one of very many beautiful depictions of the grace of God in my life, because I was frustrated and I was annoyed and I was aggravated, and I had to pay $25 to park, and that frustrated me, and stood in line for hours and hours and hours, and that's how it all started. And so I know that's a long version, but that's how it all started.
I love it. That's so cool. Okay. So then, and I actually went back and watched your blind audition this morning. So to think that was the backstory, and to then watch you on stage during your blind audition, like, that is also the grace of God.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That is so, because I didn't know it. None of us knew any of that. So for people who have not seen his blind audition, you have to go watch it, because they're all like, I can see your passion and your fire. Like, it was awesome to watch you on stage. And so to know the story, that's really cool. So then like you choose Blake, you go through the whole thing, you win. So here's where my mind as a small town Mississippi pastor's wife is going. Okay. And I'll share a little, like, just a glimpse of a little bit of my story. So on a super way different level and totally different circumstance, I'm working on my first book. And so I signed my first book deal about a month ago.
Oh, cool.
And thank you. And there's this piece of you, or maybe there's not, maybe you're not, maybe you don't battle people pleasing, and maybe okay.
It is still killing me to this day.
Okay, so this is
I'm better than I was.
Yeah, that's something that I'm always having to really talk to the Lord a lot about. And I know for me, there's a part of you. I remember when I signed thinking like, well, what's the church going to think about this? Well, we're in this very small glass bubble of a town, right? And where everybody knows all the stuff. And so what was it like for you to come back to Meridian after all of that? Like, I just can't help but wonder, and you share what you're comfortable sharing, but like, that had to be like a thing, like a whole thing.
Yeah. Well, first of all, my story is a little different in that I was the original COVID season of The Voice. Yeah. So when I came back to Meridian, no one even knew I was going to be on The Voice. You weren't allowed to tell a lot of it. Like, I don't want to lie, but I'm pretty sure my season, because of COVID, was the first time that the world found out. I mean, officially, there's always rumors on the internet and people posting and stuff, but I'm pretty sure, I may be wrong, that my season was the first time that the world found out officially that our blind auditions, battles, and knockouts are pre-taped, much earlier.
Yeah.
Like way earlier. Now, I don't know that every single season goes that way. Actually, the timeline is always a little different, believe it or not. Okay. And then since COVID, once you go, I don't think you come home until because see, I came home after my blind audition. I came home after my battle and knockout, and I was supposed to go back for lives. But then COVID, so it turned into the remote season, So no one knew anything. And that's a weird spot to be in. Well, I did tell, of course, my wife and my family. I did tell the leadership team at our church, like the pastor's team at our church, what was going on. They all knew. But, once it all happened, I want to kind of break this into kind of categories. Category A would be the church, my hometown, all of that were all really great to me.
Yeah.
They were all just fantastic to me. Now, I mean, when I say that, a couple of people in every crowd that don't like it or won't get behind it, and that's fine. I was never very critical of that, So that, but then me, I was like torn because I was really excited that I was part of the show. I was really excited, that I could see maybe a path forward, because that's when people see my blind audition. First of all, when I sing, I kind of get into it physically. It's like a whole body experience for me. Yeah. But second of all, I knew at that time, like something happened. So I knew like this is my shot. And I was torn because I was really excited to be on the show. I was really happy about being on the show. I was really happy that this could possibly be an open door for a path forward to me to do something else. But then there was that side of me this side of me is alive and well today. I am working as hard as I can to kill him, but he will not die. There was that side of me that was like, oh my God, what is everybody thinking? What are they going to think I'm supposed to do this? Because man, and I'm going to be honest, everybody's got their own feelings about this. And I think that's cool. I think we're supposed to be different, but like hardcore religion it's heavy. Yeah. I mean, it is heavy and it's hard to overcome, And when I say that, I don't mean like knowing the Lord and trying to do the right thing with your life. I mean, like
we're like legalism, the rules. Yeah, those things, those parts that aren't necessarily biblical, but that we place on ourselves, that stuff. Yeah.
And it's always been really important to me that people saw my character or who I want to be. Yeah. But then the struggle that you have with that is everybody has a different idea of what's good and what's bad. And so when you do, for example, when my blind audition aired, I aired very first. I was the first aired blind audition of season 18. And that was cool. That was really, really great. And it was like a euphoric experience. But then the flip side of that was, I got a lot of hate on Twitter, and I got emails. I don't even know where people got my email address from people that were just, how could you, how could a pastor, and that, man, I take that kind of stuff to heart,
Yeah.
And so it was a unique experience. It really was. And I am, to this day, honestly, I just had an experience, and I'm a fairly transparent person. I just had an experience about a week ago that had, honestly, I kind of just got to a breaking point with the whole religious establishment. And, in all honesty, I made some bad decisions. I made some statements and shared some things that I probably shouldn't have shared. I've apologized since, but the experience with The Voice for me, my inner man, has been really liberating and very, it's weird because everybody says, oh man, I bet you feel really, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh my gosh, I can't find the word that I'm trying to say. There's been a lot of people that say you found some real justification or whatever in who you are. I can't remember the word escape.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Validation, I bet you feel really valid. And you do feel a sense of validation, but you also feel a very real sense of humility, it's actually very humbling, the whole thing. And so it really was, what I have found in it is a whole lot of freedom, but not at any small cost to my mental man. It's a battle, it really is. It's real. But that's even with the book and all the things we try to tell everybody, if you're looking to me or my wife as some kind of example, then hopefully you look to us as an example of the immeasurable grace of God, because we are pretty jacked up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, that's so good. I can see how all of that would be true. And it's those are those opportunities where we really have to wrestle with the Lord of like, okay, how much of this, like, am I wanting to honor you or am I wanting to please other people? And honoring you doesn't necessarily mean this set of rules that, you know, the church has maybe placed on us, or all these things that we're talking about. And then also, as like your all's lives continue to change, like that is God's immeasurable grace, like towards your family. It's not it's a beautiful thing. However, there was probably a lot of really sad people. There were probably a lot of really, you know, people who maybe didn't understand, and just accepting that, like, I don't know, that's a whole thing. That's a whole thing. And so I know that this had to have been just a really crazy, but also super awesome time for you guys, for the Lord to grow you in those things, which I think is really cool. Okay, your new book is called Every Little Win, which I love the title. And it talks a lot about having a joyful mindset despite unrelenting challenges, which I think is really important for us to talk about, especially right now. And so if the listeners kind of come into this conversation just discouraged today, like through the message of the book, how would you want to encourage them?
You know, the first thing that I would say, the whole book came about. It was really very, very, very important to me and Brooke that this book was not about me being on The Voice. Like I didn't, you know, I don't want to write a book about me being on The Voice, because honestly, here's the deal with The Voice. I appreciate it. I do. I appreciate the experience. I appreciate every word of congratulations that I have gotten. I appreciate every person that takes a photo in the parking lot at Walmart. I really do. But really, the truth with The Voice is all I did was sing. I just kept singing until there wasn't no more singing to do. That's really all I did. I hate to brag on it so much, you know, because I didn't really do anything but sing. So that was important to us. The second thing that was important to us was that this book, hopefully, even though as far as the public eye goes, my presence up to now and maybe forever is fairly limited, really. I was on The Voice and the whole thing, but we did hope that it would sort of level the playing field, in that people would see that everyone deals with these things, man. You know, this guy I might have gone on The Voice and won the whole thing or whatever. And again, I'll tell everybody, I really didn't even win The Voice. Y'all did. If you voted, y'all did the voting. I didn't even vote. I felt weird voting. It made me feel like I was betraying my friends, because we're friends. All of us on the show, we're friends. So I didn't even vote. So it's just was really important that people would see, like, these things are, life is tough. And I get that. And because a lot of times I think what happens, or again, I don't want a blanket statement. I don't know everybody's unique experience, but in my experience, especially in the faith, there have been times, more times than not, that there's this sense that you don't pay any attention to the fact that you're suffering, or that suffering is part of it. And there's this sense that if you do go through suffering, you know, that's like something that you're supposed to be ashamed of, or, or something that, like, maybe you should get right with God or whatever, all these different things, you know, but suffering's part of it, you know, and it's part of the journey. And so it's, what we wanted to do was say, hey, you know, I don't want to say always, but when I was pastoring through the years, I learned that even with people, and, you know, from pastoring, when people have church hurt, instead of getting all, you know, self-righteous and like of having just this overzealous indignation about that, you don't live in that pain, but maybe they really did get hurt. And so it just became really important to me, and I know Brooke agrees with me too about this, and I hate to speak for her, that when you do go through something, like, you almost, you know, my wife, she filed for divorce. We've had kids that were sick, like dying, like they didn't have a disease. They had a physical, I don't know how to put it, like abnormality or malfunction in their physical body that was killing them, that he couldn't eat food, you know, and you have to eat food to live, you know. We've been through that. We went through both of the adoptions, and man, that, if you never adopted, it's a brutal process, man. It is hard. And we want to say, like, these things, it's not that these things aren't happening, and we do validate that these things happen, but you can find something, you know, you can find something good to just, even if it's just some little thing, you know, that you can hang on to, you know, and then when things do happen in your life, first of all, for me at least, those good things right now, man, the book's already written and it's done, so this ain't gonna be in the book. But like right now in my life, there are so many like unknowns, so many things that I don't know what's gonna happen. So what I do is I just focus on what I know is good right now. You know, there are some things that I can, and so that's what I hope people will do. You know, Brooke, even with in our household now, we don't, you know, I want to set some of the families out there free. We don't do this every day. We don't, you know, I don't want them to think like our family's not like that. Our family is probably just like yours, maybe worse. That's just the truth. But some days what Brooke will do is we'll be sitting around the living room or around the table or whatever's going on. You know, our family's huge, so we don't really have like this one big family dinner, but we do sort of all kind of try to eat around the same time and with one another. And we'll just ask them, let's do best of the day and worst of the day, you know, just so that they can, number one, the worst of the day, it's cool. Bad things happen, you know, we don't pretend that they don't happen, but then you have the best of the day as well. There's some positive, there's some good, even if it was just, you know, in the middle of pure hell breaking loose, I got to eat an almond Hershey bar. That's good. That's good news. And so that's what we wanted to do. Just hopefully encourage people to point out the positive things, the positive people, you know, in their lives, even if they're in the middle of, you know, a firestorm. You know?
Yeah. I think that's so good. I think what I love that you share there is the acknowledgement of both places, like the acknowledgement of, yes, as a Christ follower, as a human being, we are going to face suffering. We're going to face hard things, but there's also always the joy that we can find in that. And so it's like, I have also too been in seasons of my life where I felt like there wasn't maybe the safety to just own like, this sucks. This is really hard. Like we're taught to just like shove down those things. Does not help anybody whatsoever. And so it's like, having those safe places, whether it's your family or people in your life or your counselor, like that's another dirty word in Christendom that I would love to.
Not to me though.
That's a whole thing. But like get the help you need, like have the conversation, and that's like part of the healing process. And then like you're saying, like we can always find something that we're grateful for. I'm not the greatest about this either, but I'm a huge fan of journaling just for the sake of like capturing what God is doing, good, bad, or ugly in our lives, so that we see patterns of like what happens over time. And I find when I'm in a healthy habit of doing that regularly, I'm more aware of those things in my life. And so that's a practice that we're all about around here. So I love that. Well, Todd, I've loved having you today. I'm so excited to hop on over to our Patreon audience to do a really quick bonus round with you, which is going to be really fun. But I am so excited to include every little win in our 12 books of Christmas this year. I'm excited for our friends to get their hands on it and hear a little bit more of your story and Brooke's story. So for now, I just want to say a huge thank you for your time today. This was really fun.
Thank you. I appreciate it.